This is without a doubt the biggest tier list video that we have done. We've got the most players that we will be ranking today. We're going to be ranking the Euro Path to Glory, Copa America Path to Glory, the Icons Path to Glory, and the Hero Path to Glory cards on FC24. Usually in these tier lists, when we have about 30 or 40 players, I like giving a little bit of an explanation to some of them, but we've got 71 cards here to go through. So of course, we're not going to be able to explain for every single card, or else this will be an hour-long video. Not even joking either. So if there's any card you want to know more about, or if you've got any questions about, of course, let me know down below. We have also included some of the season ladder players that you can get from season progress. Of course, I'm yet to try, and it's impossible to get all of them, so I'll just be ranking them based on where I think they would be when they are available in the game, so on and so forth. And we will start off with a season progress card, and that is Rafinha. For me, he is easily going into the S tier, not quite S+. I think S+ is going to be reserved, and it's not a think. S+ will be reserved for the most elite top cards. S is reserved for the elite cards. A++ for the very good, not quite elite. A+ for the, once again, very good but not quite A++. And then A for the lower tier ones, and A is the lowest tier now. The tier lists are evolving. We had an S, A, B, C, D towards the start of the game, but now the amount of good cards that we are having released, there should be no cards below B that should be being released anymore. Or below A, I should say. There should be no cards below A, so of course A is just the lowest one now. For still a good card, but comparing to the rest, it's the worst of the lot. Jonathan Klaus is going into A++, and Alexis Sanchez will be going into the S tier, and we'll put him ahead of Rafinha, simply 5-star, along with a Finesse. I'm still a massive fan of that Finesse shot playstyle plus, and I think Klaus is going to be a top quality right back. Dudek, once again, these are all from the past, or these two here, where we didn't include all of the past players, so we tried group most of the season pass players together, and we'll just get them out of the way first. As I said, I have not used any of these cards, whereas some of the cards in packs, of course, I have used. It's impossible to use these ones, but I feel like we kind of have to include them, right? Because they are a Path to Glory card. With a goalkeeper, we're just going to put all goalkeepers into the A+ tier, okay? Goalkeepers are goalkeepers. Santiago Jimenez, I'm going to put into the A++ below Klaus. I wish he had a 5-star weak foot or 5-star skill moves. There's 4-star, but his stats and playstyle pluses are of course very nice. This Tapia card I think looks pretty underrated. We'll put him into the A++. In fact, maybe it's a little bit, I feel like maybe it's a little bit too high for Jimenez and Tapia. So we'll put them down to the higher end of the A+. Remember, these are free cards, so the fact for still an A+ card is very, very good. I think Balogun is more like an A++. So as we kind of go, and the more players that we put in, the easier the tier list will become, because of course you have lots of references to go by. Kieran Tierney, I think I'm going to put it as a lower end of A++, maybe debatably a higher end of an A+. But I do think as a defensive-minded left back, Kieran Tierney is going to be your man. Now moving on to the cards in packs, Ruben Dish. There was a promo pack that was giving this man out, I think in every single pack. I think it might have been glitch. Ruben Diaz is obviously going to be going into the S tier. I'll put him in the middle of Alexis Sanchez and Rafinha. Once we've got lots of players here today as well, don't pay too much attention to the order. We'll try our best with the order. Like the top end cards and the lower end will be as good of my ability ranked as possible. Like a higher end S tier would be better than a lower end S tier, but do not pay attention to the order of all of the middle cards, because once again would be here forever. Oblak once again as a goalkeeper will be going into the A+ tier. We'll put him above Dudek because I think he's a little bit taller. Bukayo Saka, the reason I'm supporting England at the Euros as an Arsenal fan, I love Bukayo Saka, and this card looks sublime. He's got the Finesse shot playstyle plus, he's got the technical, he's got press proven, amazing playstyle pluses. He is 4-star, 5-star. For me, he's going to the tippity top of the S tier. I would be putting him in the S+ if he had a 5-star skills, but he's 4-star, 5-star. Personally, I'd probably rather, I don't know if I'd rather 5-star weak foot or skills as a winger, because you can cut inside and smack it across goal, but with the fact of his finesse shot, you'll be trying to put it on his left anyway, so I think you probably may have rathered a 5-star skills over a 5-star weak foot there, which is just stopping me from putting him into the S+. If he was 5-star, of course, we know he'd be there, but still at the very top end of the S, and of course, England should hopefully go far, meaning he could get some upgrades. Bukayo, another goalkeeper, we'll just put smack bang in the middle of the other goalkeepers. Christensen looks very underrated. I'm going to put him towards the higher end of the A+. I just think he's massively missing an anticipate play style. Nedved doesn't look awful, doesn't look amazing. He's one of those icons. You see an icon flair and you see Czech Republic and you get a little bit disappointed. We're still going to put him into the A+ tier, but for me, he's not going to be making the A++. Now, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this name, but you can get him in the season progress, and I didn't include every season progress player, but I thought once this man looks really good. He's a pretty low level as well. He might be about level 8 or level 10. I could be wrong with that one, but as a winger, as a super sub at the absolute minimum, he looks a nice card. We're going to be putting him into the A+ tier. We'll put him ahead of Tapia. We'll put him below Santiago. The Santiago does look nice. As I said, I think he's missing a 5-star weak foot or skill moves. Bernardo Silva, another season progress player, we'll put towards the lower end of the A++. I think you'll be wanting to use this card as a box-to-box midfielder because although he's great going forward, he's got that anticipate playstyle plus. Hedgie is going to the top of the S tier as well, and I'll actually put him above Bukayo Saka. Maybe controversial, I don't know, but that Hedgie card does look very tasty. Ballack is going to go into the S tier also, but towards the lower end of the S tier. You can pick him up for only 300,000 or 400,000 coins, and I was actually going to pick him up because I played champs for about an hour and a half, 2 hours before this video, and I tried to use as much cards as I can, new promo cards, and I was going to try Ballack, but I decided to go with Sabitzer instead, so of course we'll be ranking him when we get to him. Sukia is going to be going into the A+. I think the A+ is kind of perfect for the icons. They're still good, obviously, but they're not really ideal, and you'll see the icon, you'll see Croatia, you'll see Czech Republic, and you go, I think I'm honestly having a bit of a change of heart. Like, when you look at these cards and all of the cards on the list, I think there's going to be a lot of S tier cards that I'm going to be putting into the S tier that I don't think are better than Saka or Hedgie. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move Saka up to the S+ tier. I'm going to move Hedgie up to the S+ tier. Vidic is going to join them in the S+ tier. I think Alexis to Ballack, these players are definitely a tier below Saka, Hedgie and Vidic. So I think that's quite fair. I think I'll actually move Hedgie down a little bit. And yeah, I'll keep it like this, I reckon. As I said, we're going to be putting so many players in the S tier, and when I'm thinking, I'm just looking ahead and looking at all these future players, and I'm like, there's so much players that will be going on the same tier as Saka, Vidic, Hedgie, but I'd rather all 3 of them than all of the players that will be going onto the list. So a little bit of a tweak there. Peter Schmeichel, I know I said I'm putting all goalkeepers in the same tier, and I will, but I'll actually put them higher up, or I'll put them at the highest of the goalkeepers. This Beasley card I'd actually almost rather use as a left back rather than a left mid. If we're ranking him on a left mid or a winger, he'd be going into the lowest end of the A+, or the mid to lower end of the A+, but if we're ranking him as a left back, I'm going to put him at the higher end of the A+. I think here in Tierney, I might bump down to the A+ tier, and just keep the A++ of Klaus, Belogan, and Silver. I'm pretty happy with that. As I said, we'll just make a few tweaks as we go. Diago Forlan, who I did pack, I used him for 7 games in Foot Champs just before this video, and he was quite nice, scored 6 goals and got a few assists, so may not be getting more than 1 goal a game, but when he has scored and the games he turned up in, it's very nice. Great header. I do think, or do wish he had an aerial playstyle plus, but still, that's not to say that he's a very nice card, and I'm actually going to put him into the A++, but I will put him towards the lower end of it. Capdevila, on the other hand, is going to be going into the S tier. Surely got to be top 3 left backs on the whole entire game, right? I think I'll just put him ahead of Ballack as well. Di Natale, definitely going into the S+. I think I'd rather Saka. Maybe not Vidic, for I'll put him just behind Bukayo Saka. Luis Diaz is also going to go into the S+, and I'll put him ahead of Hedgie. Got that finesse shot playstyle plus insane dribbling, but I do very much wish he had a technical, man. Not even a normal regular technical. They completely stripped it from him. I was just very annoying. Depay, season progress card once again. If you were to use him as a second striker or a cam, of course, you could use him as a main striker as well. You've got lots of options with him. But yeah, you'll be cooking with him. And for me, he's going to go into the S+ tier. And I think I'll put him behind Hedgie though. Yeah, I'll put him behind Hedgie. I think he's a tier above the likes of Alexis Sanchez, Ruben Diaz, so on and so forth. Kenny Dalglish. Now, Kenny Dalglish is going to the very top of the S+ tier. Don't think I need to say too much more. The 5-star weak foot, the body type is Kenny Dalglish. If you've used a Kenny Dalglish card on not only this FIFA, but any FIFAs, every single year his icon card is good. Every single year he's got something about him that makes him better than most. Rodrigo de Paul is going to be going into the I think the top of the S tier rather than the S plus tier, I think. Phenomenal card, of course, could get some upgrades, expect to see upgrades. I think Argentina are the favourites for this Copa America, so we'll put them towards the S tier. I'm not quite sure I want to be putting him in the S plus. In fact, the fact he is only 4-star kind of solidifies my opinion of having him in the S tier rather than the S plus. Rivaldo, now Rivaldo, I mean, this card, mate, this card, I never thought I'd see a day where I'd see a 5-star weak foot Rivaldo. We're used to seeing Rivaldo and going, 2-star weak foot, 3-star weak foot, 5-star, 5-star, great playstyle pluses, great stats. Rivaldo is going to the very top of the S plus tier. Dalglish, who just got to the top of the S plus tier, is already dethroned. Now, all of these, like I say, fodder, Path to Glory Euro cards, I'm going to try group up here, and we are going to put them all into the A tier. And this, I say, may seem harsh, right? If you get a Path to Glory, you're going to be disappointed if it's one of these 5 players here. If it's a Kokchu, Schick, I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name, you know, if it's a Lukaku. So we'll put all of these guys in the A tier, and this is exactly why I have the A tier, okay? Don't pay attention to the order. I think we all can agree that these 5 are going to be the worst cards on the list, and as I said, the exact reason I have an A tier today. So we'll put them all in the A tier, and they should be out the way. I think that's all of the quote-unquote fodder Path to Glory cards. Bentancur 91 plus in every single stat. He's an S tier card. He's I'm actually gonna have him over Alexis Sanchez. Maybe a little bit of maybe a little bit too generous. I actually think I'd rather him than DePaul as well. DePaul back may be more expensive, man, but the Bentancur's got a 5-star weak foot. Stats wise, he just looks like him. I think lots of DePaul's price is for the fact that Argentina are very much expected to go far, and I think after a second upgrade, he might get a skill move or a weak foot. I could be wrong on that one. Eder Militao is going to be going into the S plus tier. I'm actually going to put him ahead of Vidic. Skriniar, another centre back, but I think the centre back is definitely not an S tier or an S plus, so he's going to be in the lower end of the A++. Leonardo Trossard, another card that I was using in Foot Champs earlier. His left stick dribbling is nice. I think the lack of his playstyle pluses for attacking is very poor. He's got no attacking playstyle plus. He's got an over-the-top, a technical, and a rapid. So if you're using him, I'd much rather use him behind a striker. Don't use him as your main striker. He's got some attacking playstyles, but just regular ones. I think you'd much rather use him as a creative player and make use of his insane left stick dribbling to find that pass. For me, he's going to be going into the S tier, and I'm going to put him ahead of Ballack, okay? Ahead of Ballack. Even a finesse playstyle plus would have had me putting him towards the top end, or the higher end of the S. Busquets, he is a level 30 or a level 40, whatever the highest level is. Of course, you cannot get him right now, but he's definitely going into the S plus. We'll put him behind Dalglish, just because Dalglish is 5-star, 5-star. Busquets is 4-star, 5-star. Rivaldo obviously keeping the very top of the S plus position very safe. Steven Gerrard is also going to be going straight behind Busquets. The fact that we can get a Steven Gerrard and a I was going to try to pronounce his name. I was going to say his first name is Frank, but it's not. Starts with F, it's something like that. But Busquets, you can get a Steven Gerrard and a Busquets for free. 2 S plus tier cards that would be at least $1 million on the market. You cannot complain. I think EA have personally smashed it this season. So we'll put Gerrard just behind Busquets. Of course, hard to compare a box-to-box to a attacker. Undav, I think Undav looks very underrated, and I'm actually going to put him into the A++ tier. I think he looks really underrated, you know. I'll put him just behind Forlan. Romelu Lukaku, I'm going to put into the S tier with the tall striker, aerial playstyle plus meta. Lukaku will score goals for you, especially if you have wingers or fullbacks with a whipped cross, which I think is pretty hard not to have a winger or a fullback with a whipped cross these days. So we'll put him just ahead of his Belgian teammate, Leonardo Trossard. Gavardio's a card that I think just doesn't look insane and doesn't look as nice comparing to some of the other Path to Glory centre backs. I'd rather a Vidic, I'd rather a Saliba who we're yet to rank, I'd rather a Ruben Diaz. I think we're going to put him in the A++ tier. I'll put him towards the higher end of the A++. In fact, I'll have him at the very top of the A++. Kyle Walker is going to go into the S plus tier. I think his price tag is something like 1 million coins. It's a pretty hefty price tag for Kyle Walker, but he's just him. He's just him on this game. Militao's a card when I'm looking at, I'm going to want to bump up over, I reckon. I think he just looks insane. Playstyle pluses. Plays a right back, but you definitely want to make use of him as a centre back. I think Di Natale over Vidic and Saka over Di Natale I'm happy with. Frenkie de Jong is going to be going just ahead of Eder Militao. I'm actually going to put Oh, do I put De Jong over Gerrard? You know what? Maybe controversial, but I'm putting De Jong over Steven Gerrard. It's hard because, of course, Steven Gerrard is not in packs right now, so it's hard to know by the time you can get him where he's at in the game cycle. But as of right now, I'm still saying Frenkie De Jong 5-star, 5-star, but his playstyle pluses are perfect. Perfect. He's got anticipate, perfect for defending, technical, perfect for drifting forward or carrying the ball forward, and he's also got an incisive pass, perfect for creating from the midfield. For me, as a box-to-box midfielder, those are the 3 perfect playstyle pluses. Anticipate, incisive pass, and technical. He's got all 3 of them. 5-star, 5-star as a number 8 midfielder. Frenkie De Jong, ladies and gentlemen. Kvara is going to be going into the S tier. I think towards the lower end of the S tier. I don't think Kvara is as good this FIFA, or in FC24, I should say, as he was in FIFA 23. I don't know, it's just something about him. Just doesn't seem to gel. Like last year, he'd be towards the top end of the S or debatably S+. Still a great card, of course. Still an S tier card. Chiesa is going to be going into the S+ tier, and I'm actually going to put him ahead of Luis Diaz. I prefer him to Luis Diaz simply because of the playstyles. Sabitzer, I'm a massive fan of the Sabitzer card. One of the cards that I was using in Foot Champs as well before recording this video. I'm using him as a number 8, a box-to-box midfielder. He does stuff defensively with that anticipate. He's got that incisive going forward. I mean, mate, he's very similar. He's got an intercept as well, I think. Yeah, I think that's an intercept. I should be able to remember. I used him like an hour ago. I'm pretty sure it's intercept, incisive, and anticipate. I might be wrong or one off there, but nonetheless, Sabitzer ran that midfield perfectly. He is 100% going to be going into absolute minimum A++. I think it'd be harsh for me not to put him into the S tier. We're going to put him into the S tier. As I said, I was going to get Ballack, but I tried Sabitzer instead, so I'm going to have him right next to Ballack in the S tier. I think that's quite fitting. Pedri, we're putting towards the higher end of the S tier. I'm going to put him ahead of DePaul. I'll put him ahead of Bentancur as well. At the very top of the S tier, I think is fair. We've run out of room, so we had to make the screen smaller for you guys, and we will have to scroll up and down. Some of it may be cut off, but of course, you guys can bear with me with that. As I said, this is the biggest tier list we've ever done. William Saliba is definitely going into the S+ tier, and we're going to put him in ahead of, I'd rather Militao. If someone, okay, as an Arsenal fan, if you were to ask would I rather Saka or Saliba, I'd probably hit you in the head. I wouldn't be able to decide. You know what, we'll put them together. I'll put Saliba ahead of Di Natale and ahead of Vidic for sure, but just behind Bukayo Saka. Marcel, we're going to put into the S tier. I think we put him just behind Alexis Sanchez. You can get him for only 180,000 coins. I think we'll move Rafinha up. Once again, I'm trying to like redo the order of this a little bit as I go as well. You guys know the drill. We kind of put him into the tiers, and then at the end we will spend 10-20 minutes double checking it, and I'll redo the order then. So this is not final, and I also said do not take the order too seriously this time around, but Bukayo is definitely going into the S tier. Crespo is a new SBC. He's 13 squads. He's only available for a week. If we're doing him based on value, he'd be towards the lower end of the S, but based on the card and the card you're getting in return, some would debatably say better than Drogba, better than that new Drogba card that has come out. So we're going to be putting him into the S+ tier, and I'm going to put him behind Di Natale. This is one of those cards that is considered, I guess you'd say, a fodder card if you're going off of the price. As a super sub, he'd have some usability, so we'll put him towards the highest end of the A tier, alright? Some could debate A+, but we'll put him towards the higher end of the A tier. Is it Lucidia? I hopefully someone got that correct. Hincapi, next up, Hincapi, I'm going to be going ahead and putting into the S tier. We'll just chuck him, we'll chuck him behind Rafinha ahead of Barcola. Bruno Guimaraes is going into the S+ tier for sure. This card is insane. His Path to Glory card last year, I think it was last year. If you got him, you'll know how good he is. But I mean, even more this year with the addition of playstyle pluses. Once again, he's one of those cards where all of his playstyles fit his position perfectly. So we're going to be putting him into the S+ tier. I'm going to move him up as well. I'm actually going to put him over Crespo, I reckon. Oh, another one that I forgot, another fodder card, Ndoye will be going in. Vlahovic, I packed him as well. I actually didn't use him. He's not an A tier. He's going to be in the A+ tier. We'll put him just ahead of a goalkeeper. So the lower end, but ahead of a goalkeepers, of course. Falkrug, I think is going to be like Vlahovic. I think I'd rather Vlahovic than Falkrug, just because of the playstyles. Although Vlahovic has got that, he's got that power head of the aerial, hasn't he? But so does Vlahovic, I think. Danny Olmo, I think he screams like an A++ card. Looks really underrated, I reckon. Looks an underrated card. People see Danny Olmo, I'll skip past him. I'm not sure how much he is. I'd predict maybe only 100 and 150k, but if he was French, if he was a more mainstream player, then you could probably say he could be at least a couple 100k. I think Danny Olmo's a card that is always underrated on his game. Ronald Koeman, who is currently extinct as of right now. EA are yet to update his price range. I'm putting him into the S tier. The reason I'm not putting him into the S plus is because he's high work rates for a defender. Medium high work rates or a low high is perfect. High attacking work rates for me personally is a big no-no. But otherwise, Koeman looks great. Excellent playstyle pluses, of course, excellent stats. He'll be full chem being an icon. But yeah, it's just the high work rates. The high attacking work rates is not good for a centre back. Joe Gomez is a card that I'm going to be putting into the S plus tier. Using him in Foot Champs today, I have realized that he is insane. People see his price tag of 700k, of course, available as an SBC, and are kind of like writing him off in a way. And I just got to say to you, man, just use him. You'll realize how good he is. And with an upgrade or two, which England can definitely achieve. I mean, it is England after all, but they can definitely achieve. This Joe Gomez has potential to be one of the best SBCs on the whole entire game. He'll be a centre back, a card that you'll be using for the next month at the absolute minimum. Luis Hernandez, I was going to say lower end of the S. Yeah, I think lower end of the S. I think towards the lowest of the S, I reckon. I think I'm going to put Kvara ahead of Balak, or sorry, ahead of Sabitzer and behind Balak as well. But yeah, this Hernandez, he's got the aerial playstyle plus, but I think the fact he's 5'9", kind of awkward. Aerial and 5'9". He's got insane jumping. I think 96 jumping, 99 hitting accuracy. I just had a look before if I remember correctly. But still, you'd rather a 99 jumping, 99 hitting, 6'3", 6'4" striker with aerial. It's a little bit awkward, a 5'9" player having that aerial. Not to say it goes to waste, of course, but definitely not as efficient as it would be with a tall man. So we'll put him into the lower end of the S tier. He's a card that potentially could have been middle to high end of the S tier. Antonio, I think we'll put towards the low end of A plus as well. I think we'll put him just behind Falkrug. I think there's more usability about Antonio than all of the cards in the A tier. Petit, I'm going to put into the S tier. I'm actually going to put him just behind Balak. With Miggy Almiron, I'm going to put in towards the lowest end of the A++. Zé Alvarez, I think, looks underrated. Great playstyle pluses for a CDM. I'm pretty sure medium high work rates. Premier League, Mexico. So if you want to get Santiago Jimenez, where is he? I've lost him now. Santiago Jimenez, who I've got in the A+ tier. Then Alvarez obviously could join him. If you're Mexican, then you will be laughing all the way to the bank. But I think Alvarez. This is a hard one. I'm trying to find like somewhat a CDM that I've kind of ranked that you could kind of compare to Alvarez in a way. And in a way, I'm kind of like thinking that this Tapia card, this Tapia card is quite similar. I think we're going to put him ahead of Tapia. And I think we're going to put him just behind Santiago Jimenez, ironically enough. And Santiago Jimenez, when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking of moving up to the higher end of the A+ anyway. I think we put Beasley there, kind of just like organizing it as I go, saving me from doing this soon. And I'll put Alvarez ahead of Christensen and Tierney. There we go. We've kind of reorganized that A+ tier a little bit. Borja is a card that is going to be going into the A+. Once again, you'll be more use of him than the A tier cards. He's kind of similar to like Antonio in a way. I think I'd actually put him behind Falkrug, because at least with Falkrug and Vlahovic, you've got a meta to play to. You've got the tall striker with the aerial playstyle plus, whereas Antonio and Borja is a little bit different, right? So, but better than A tiers. And of course, the goalkeepers as well. Ignore the goalkeepers. The goalkeepers are just there to avoid controversy. We're putting goalkeepers all in the A+ tier. I mean, some of them might perform like S tier cards, A++ tier cards, but with I should have a separate tier, just goalkeepers. In fact, I'm very tempted to have a tier of a bottom just called goalkeepers. Not saying they are the bottom tier, but more so just separate, because you can't compare a goalkeeper to outfield players. It's incredibly hard. Would have loved the 5-star skills on Alvarez, but that's not to take away from the fact that Alvarez is very good on this game. We're going to put him ahead. I think I'm actually going to put him just behind Trossard. I'm going to put him just behind Trossard. Alphonso Davies, on the other hand, is going to be going into the S+ tier, and we're going to put him ahead of... I'm going to put him ahead of... Yeah, so I'm actually going to put him ahead of Vidic. Comparing to other left backs, I think he's also a top 3 left back on the game. Who was the other card that I said as a top 3 left back on the game? Can't remember, but it was someone. Capdevila. It was Capdevila here. So I actually think I want to move Capdevila up to the S plus as well. I'd rather Davies than Capdevila, mind you, but I'll have Capdevila towards the lower end of the S plus. And last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, is Tyler Adams, who I think looks an incredibly underrated card. He is screaming to be put in the same tier as a Bentancur, the Paul, but we will put him behind both of them. We'll put him behind Koeman as well. I think I want Alexis Sanchez ahead of him, Rafinha ahead of him as well. I'm pretty happy with this for a basis to go off of. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have a fiddle around. I'm going to spend 20-30 minutes changing the order to how I like, and I'll see you guys when I'm satisfied. We've changed quite a few things. I don't think we changed the tier of any cards, but mainly the order. We kept the high end of the S plus tier the same. We obviously have Saka, Saliba behind Eder Militao, followed by the big icons, Frenkie de Jong towards the top. In fact, he's the highest non-icon card on this list. Di Natal ahead of Davies. We moved Alphonso Davies up significantly, who we did put ahead of Crespo. I think comparing Crespo to other strikers and Davies to other left backs, I think Davies is a top 3 left back in the game. Not sure about Crespo being a top 3 striker though. In fact, you wouldn't say he's a top 3 striker. Vidic we've got just ahead of Chiesa, which may be controversial. Always hard comparing completely different positions. But we have Chiesa, and I think Chiesa is better than Luis Diaz, mainly because of the lack of the technical for Luis Diaz. We do have Kyle Walker, followed by Hadji, who we moved up, and I think we may have moved him ahead of Memphis Depay as well. Joe Gomez we moved down a little bit. Capdevila, of course, you guys saw me move him up to the S plus tier from the S tier. And Bruno Guimaraes we moved down. We were definitely overrating him. Of course, you wouldn't rather Bruno G than a Vidic, Chiesa, Davies, so on and so forth. Not to say this Bruno G card is not insane. The S tier, I think, is a tier that we actually touched the least. I moved Tyler Adams down quite a bit, moving Ruben D sharp. I moved Rafinha up over Sanchez. The top 3 stayed the exact same, and I think the bottom 6 or bottom 8 actually stayed the same as well. The A++ tier, I moved Undav from the second lowest card in the A++ tier to the highest card in the A++ ahead of Danny Olmo. We've then got Gvardiol, Klaus, Balogan, Silva, of course Forlan and Skriniar as well. The A+ tier I'm pretty happy with. We moved Nedved, Suka and Beasley along with Tierney and Alvarez, Christensen and Tapia all ahead of Almiron. I'm not sure what I was thinking with Almiron, putting him towards the higher end of the A+ tier. Santiago does top the A+ tier for me. I think he looks great with nice play styles, but as I said, if he had a 5-star skills or 5-star weak foot, he'd definitely be leapfrogging into the higher end of the A++. That's how crucial a 5-star or a 1-star weak foot /skill moves make. The A tier is obviously just filled with the fodder cards, and of course we did add a separate tier for goalkeepers. It's always hard, you need to rank them separately to outfield players. So in doing this, I've got Peter Schmeichel at the very top, followed by Oblak, and then I've got Bukayo and Dudek. Dudek is just one that I've always not been a goalkeeper I've always not been a fan of, mainly down to his height. I think he's 6'2", right? Bukario's pretty tall, so we gave Bukayo the edge over Dudek. But ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you guys enjoyed this tier list. It's almost impossible that everyone will agree with the exact order of the 71 cards, but I think most of us can agree that the tiers is pretty good. The A++ tiers, I'm pretty happy with the tiers. So let me know what you would change if you want to have any players included that I have not included. I've included basically every single player, just a few of the lower end season progress players we missed out. But maybe by the time you're watching, I've released another SBC objective. If you're a player that has been released that is not on this tier list, of course let me know down below, and I will correct myself and let you know on what tier I would have put him. Hope you guys enjoyed. It's been your boy Davis. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.